everyone, and welcome to the headliner session, really. I am so excited to be here and just get stuck into talking all things trains, TikTok, and general stardom. But before we do, I just want to give us a little reminder about why Francis Bourgeois has stolen the nation's hearts.
Coming up now is a Class 377 from Littlehampton to Southampton Central. Thank you. Whoa.
So good, and actually a really good place to start. What is it about trains that makes you that excited?
To be honest, it comes from when I was young, and I'm talking really young, so I can't even remember where this sort of passion came from. But where I used to live in northwest London, it was just a spaghetti maze of train tracks. And I feel like that just caught my attention, and I feel like I had sort of like a natural affinity to mechanical things as a child. I loved my cars, my planes and everything, and the trains were like right at the top. Right. So that has been sort of like a passion that's been sort of throughout my life, and sort of on the surface, under the surface at times, but now I'm fully in it and really loving it.
Love it. Oh, I think we all love you loving it. In particular, I was going to ask you, describe the feeling when a Class 37 thrashes by. I think
Well, I just went up to Leicester just before this, and the Leicester LIP is where they keep a few Class 37s. So this morning I experienced Class 37 thrashing. So what it feels like is if you've ever been to like a concert and it's like a crescendo moment, it's all building up, and you can almost feel like the tickles sort of across your body. That's sort of the feeling, and because the Class 37 is quite an old locomotive, it doesn't really have any mufflers on the exhaust or anything, so you're basically hearing the combustion of the beast, and it rattles your body. It's like a real bass line.
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, I think we all feel your passion coming through already. And as you said, it's always been about trains versus like other transport. That was kind of your first love, is it? Yeah, pretty much. So let's take it back to the beginning. What was your life like before TikTok? Because obviously Francis Bourgeois is a character name. You're actually called Luke, right? So tell us all about, sorry guys. But tell us all about, life as Luke before it all kicked off.
Yeah, so I was working at a car factory, and it was sort of during lockdown that my sort of passion for trains and stuff kind of collided with my passion for video making. And me and my brother bounced off each other quite sort of creatively, and during lockdown we were making videos together, and I was train spotting, and slowly my train spotting crept into the videos that I was putting on my TikTok, and I saw that people loved it, and I thought, well, people are loving it and I'm having a good time, then I'll just continue. And the pseudonym came initially from the fact that I was applying for jobs. So at the place that I was working at in the car factory, that was the job that I was applying for. So kind of companies that do big sort of like background checks and stuff. And I thought, do you know what, I want to freely post videos without having to worry about this. And it was an easy way to get around that. But quite funnily, but at the end of my time at my work, the plant director had watched all my videos. So
amazing. And what did you think?
I don't know.
No, you don't know. And I mean, where did because obviously, as you say, it sounds like you kind of tested the water, but at what point did you think, actually, I'm going to start introducing the GoPro? Because I think I probably all agree that the GoPro just adds that extra level of just ingenuity. So when did that idea happen?
So I remember I was train spotting with my friend, and it was a Class 37, and I thought I want to show how I'm feeling about this, and I was filming it in sort of like a selfie style, and I was looking through the camera, and I was like, hang on. Once it had gone, I thought I've been looking forward to seeing this, and I hadn't fully taken it sort of in. But I was just looking through the camera, and I remembered when I was younger, I used to have a BMX. I used to do BMXing, and I had a GoPro on my helmet. And I remember once thinking, oh, it'd be funny to film my face on the trampoline, and I'd sort of turned the GoPro at my face. And I was watching the footage back on the trampoline, kind of going like that. And I suddenly remembered that. I thought, oh, yeah, perfect. I can just film my face with it being hands-free, and I can experience the moment whilst also filming myself. And of course, the effect that came from it, the fisheye, was I saw the footage and I'm like, I'll see what happens. And then it was a happy accident because people loved it. So yeah.
It's brilliant. And when you made that first TikTok, did you imagine that it would become something bigger than that? No, it was just a way of expressing yourself,
yeah,
passion.
If I'm honest, I just wanted to show people my videos. Like I was a bit too afraid to put it on my Instagram because during secondary school, I kind of like suppressed my passion a bit, and I didn't want them to kind of see it in like a sort of like a hangover from school. And then so I thought kind of a TikTok, with a pseudonym, it'd be like, I can let it flourish. And now it's taken on a new life.
It's crazy. And why do you think something so niche has struck such a chord with people? Because before, I mean, I remember as a kid just seeing people hanging out at train stops and train stations, and my mum would go, "Oh, move away from them, they're a bit weird." Joking. But it was always quite a niche thing. So, why do you think it's really struck a chord with people?
I think it's just finding joy in sort of things that might be seemingly mundane in life, and just sort of taking a moment to sort of draw things back from the busyness of life, and it's just like something that is sometimes a bit of an inconvenience to people getting on the train, and to see someone like me or my friends getting sort of hyped up about trains, I think is quite absurd, and I love to make people laugh. Like that's one of the main reasons why I've continued with the videos, because I'm enjoying it, and I love to see people enjoying it as well. People watching and enjoying it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the moment when you think, I thought I'm actually quite a big deal? Like, was it, when you start to hit, the 500,000 followers, 1 million, or is it things like getting recognised in public? What was the kind of moment when you thought this is crazy?
The crazy moment was probably when I was sitting on the front row of a Gucci catwalk.
Yeah, really crazy, really relatable.
and it was kind of like a holy SHIT moment, like looking like I was on the end, and I remember like looking down the row and seeing like the models coming towards us, and like looking at the sort of the influencers next to me, kind of like, and then I was there just with my GoPro on, and I was like, what's going on?
Oh, that's amazing. And that was the moment.
Oh yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And we're going to come on a little bit later to talk about, how you start getting involved with brands like Gucci. But, now that you've been doing it for some time, do you know what works and plan around that? Or is it actually that you just make TikToks around what you fancy doing next?
Well, the thing is, when I've thought of an idea, or when I've sort of done a collaboration, like what I want to make sure is that I'm sort of really happy and really feel like it's flowing.
Yeah.
And as soon as like I feel like when the energy is kind of like flowing like a wave, it feels good. And then as soon as it's like I can kind of sense that before it happens, and then kind of winding around that and finding that sort of balance often sort of yields the best product at the end.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, it sounds like it's taken off massively. You've basically become a star. So you're now at the stage where train drivers recognize you as you're going past. It looks like in your videos you always get I was gonna do you call it a honk? A toot?
Some tones.
Some tones. That sounds much cooler than what I was thinking. So yeah, you're at the point where other train drivers are recognizing you. What's that like?
Yeah. It's great, really, because I can see that I'm making their job that they're making it more enjoyable for them somewhat, because it is sometimes quite a lonely sort of profession, and to have sort of an interaction, even if it may be sort of going by at speed and seeing someone waving and sort of they're making sort of train spotters and passers-by happy by just doing a couple of tones. But then I guess from that they can feel like that happiness is almost sort of coming back to them as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to know that, because I've heard it from the drivers firsthand, that they appreciate sort of spotters more, and yeah.
That's really cool. And actually, based on that, how has the whole kind of train spotting community reacted to you? Because obviously a niche hobby that's been elevated through you, and that's great. But you know, what has the reaction from the community been like?
Oddly, it's been completely one or the other. One way or the other. I've had lots of people who are really sort of happy to meet me and really supportive and saying, you know, what you're doing is great for the industry, you know, and also people that I feel like for them I've taken what they don't really sort of identify with when it comes to their hobby. They might sort of be someone who takes numbers and like that's their thing, and because I've taken my version of it and made it sort of put it out into the world, I think people expect everyone sort of in the community to be like that. So I think for certain people that's quite frustrating or annoying, and I have had some sort of rude comments and stuff like that, and rude gestures out train windows and stuff. But I think it's all part and parcel, and I'm actually really keen to sort of delve into it and try and you know speak to people who might not like what I do.
Right.
For example, the ex-chairman of the Class 37, well, it's called the Growler Group because that's the nickname for the Class 37.
Right.
I met him on a Class 37 rail tour, and he said, "Oh, I want to ask you some questions," because I assumed him and his folks didn't particularly like what I did, what I do online. I may be mistaken, but I chatted to him for a little bit, and I explained my intentions, you know, like sort of, and at the end of it, he shook my hand, and I felt like in that moment, I was able to sort of tell him what I was about.
Yeah.
And I'd love to be able to do that for other people that might sort of have a disagreement with what I do. But I know that's probably impossible.
But do you think it's them doubting your kind of authenticity around?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess, how do you therefore deal with that negativity? Because it sounds like you're very open about it. You've been posted about it. Is that your approach to it? Is to face it head on?
Yeah, and I think I love to be able to make things right. And I think when it comes to the topic of authenticity, like my emotions in the moment are like so true and so raw. But I think what's sometimes a little bit confusing is the way that I sort of try and have sort of like a more of a comedic sense with things, i.e. like with the GoPro and the structuring of the videos. So yeah, I think as time goes on, like people will understand my style, and I don't think authenticity will be much of a question in the future.
Yeah. Well, I think, most people absolutely love your style, and not just normal people, but celebs as well. I think we need to know how the Joe Jonas video happened. How do you just get a celebrity appearing in one of your videos? How did that whole situation manifest? Here we go. Here he is.
He actually just sent me a message on Instagram.
I'm joking.
Yeah, and he was honestly so nice.
Yeah.
And we had a bit of back and forth, and then I said, "Oh well, I know a great train spotting location just outside of Leighton Buzzard."
Amazing.
And then I said, oh, well, and I was going through so many, like, going through loads of schedules, like trying to find like a good sweet spot, because I didn't want to keep him for long. And I said, oh, let's meet here 11 o'clock this day. And he's like, okay. And I was really worried that it might not happen.
Yeah.
But I was waiting at this sort of canal car park. And then this blacked out Mercedes pulls up.
Joking.
And then out comes Joe. It's like, hi. And then really friendly, this lovely man. And then we just walked up the hill together and train spotted. And, you know, he was just like a mate. And he was really interested in what it's all about. I showed him what it's like. And we met some train spotters along the way and got some tones. And and also what he saw is kind of the up and the down of train spotting. So a lot of the time in my videos, I'll condense it down to like 30 seconds of like the best moment. But a lot of the time, it's like there's also a lot of disappointment. So for example, this morning I was going to Leicester to see a Class 37 pull a load of coaches to the scrapyard. And I was really looking forward to it. And then woke up at 5 o'clock, got the train there, and en route said, this has been cancelled. And I was like, oh God, what? But then when I got there, I saw loads of interesting things going on in the yard anyway. So, you know, it's like a complete up and down. And I'd love to be able to sort of capture that flow in more sort of long form.
Yeah. Ooh, maybe in the future. But also tell me about Sam Fender, because you just ended up on stage with him. And for anyone who's not seen it, I don't know if you've got a clip, anyone who's not seen it, I mean, I think you've gone to rock star status because you actually crowd surfed at his concert, which was just unreal. You must have moments when you think, is this my life? So how did the Sam Fender thing happen? Did he sneak into your DMs as well?
It was actually his manager. And his manager messaged saying that he was a big Sam liked my videos, and from there I presented an awards to him at the NME Awards, and then after that he said, oh, you've got to come to the you've got to come to the gig at Wembley.
Yeah.
I was like, oh cool, yeah, and then we arranged for me to scoot around on the stage. And then afterwards I was at the side with his manager and he was like, oh yeah, I've crowd surfed before, it was wicked. And then there was a song, because I love music and I love live music. And then he said, oh, this is the bit where everyone moshes. And I was getting hyped up, I was like, okay. But I was at the side and I wanted to be in the crowd. So I thought, I'll just jump over the fence, and I got to the edge of the railings and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna climb over, and then people were like, yeah. and then I saw like there's just a sea of arms ready, so I was just like, bloody hell. And then I just launched myself in, and then I was just kind of like looking up, like, oh my God. But it's kind of like, it felt like I imagine like a caterpillar.
Right.
Like there's like loads of like sort of arms underneath.
Yeah.
But then also like random arms coming in like that, and like around my waist and like my shoes and legs and stuff. But yeah, and then once I got down on the ground, I basically just went like that and like ran through people's legs to get out. But that was insane.
That is mad. But you weren't dropped. That's always the fear.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I think, you know, it sounds like the celebrity world, you've absolutely you've reached, everyone is in love with you, but brands as well. You've started working with brands, and tell us about how you started getting involved in the likes of Gucci and Paul Smith.
Well, it came through kind of my sort of previous involvement in modelling, and through sort of my modelling profile. Sort of, I think sort of an opportunity was found to incorporate sort of my sort of passion in with sort of an advert. So yeah, one of the first ones I did was with ASOS, and they said, yeah, just like, you know, we've got our Black Friday coming up, and you know, it's really exciting. We want to, you know, we'd really appreciate it if you could sort of promote it. And I thought, well, I'm not going to do like a sort of an outfit trial in my bedroom. Like I want to make it sort of flow nicely in with my videos. So I was thinking, and I realised that. So I wanted to do a video on like a station platform and like sort of hopping on a passenger train and hopping off, and it wouldn't. There's some sort of rules with filming on Network Rail's property, and you need sort of sign off and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was planning this like 1.5 days before, and then I remembered that I'd visited a freight yard 2 days prior, and I called the guy up, and they were really nice. And I said, look, I need to shoot this advert. And I said, oh yeah, sure, come along, we'll get it all set up. And then it was my girlfriend and I, and we plodded along with our iPhone cameras and like a job lot of ASOS clothing. And I did it, so I was like going into the train cab and then sort of going out, saying, I'm not sure about this outfit, and then going in, and then sort of going out, and then I'm not sure, and then finding the outfit that I like, and then sort of standing next to the locomotive. And I think it worked really well because usually the access to freight depots isn't that easy. And I think sort of the juxtaposition of like really gritty like aggregates on the floor and like me wearing sort of these high-heeled Chelsea boots was quite a nice finale.
Yeah, sounds amazing. And London Fashion Week? Yeah. That was the moment that you realised that you were big.
Yeah. The Gucci show was in Milan.
Yeah. Oh, fine.
And in London Fashion Week was the first ever fashion show I've been to. I think it was Daniel Fletcher. That was great fun.
Wow, that's amazing. And I guess when you're talking about working with brands, are there any kinds of brands that you go, I'd absolutely like to work with that? Obviously, you've got a bit of modelling in your background, so obviously fashion brands seems to be where you're at. But are there kinds of brands that you absolutely would love to work with in the future? Any on your radar?
Well, to be honest, I'm really interested in taking the aesthetics of the railway and sort of integrating it into fashion. And just sort of like the patterns in sort of the underground stations and stuff. And I think I'd love to collaborate with TfL. Like that would be an absolute dream.
We'll set up a meeting afterwards.
And yeah, like I had, and then also sort of like freight companies. I had a vision of getting some like narrow gauge Class 66 locomotives and having sort of like the models being pulled along in like freight sort of carriages, like sort of standing straight on like a mini train, and just kind of taking brands that are slightly sort of out of the ordinary and taking them into a new realm. Yeah, I feel like I love putting I'd love to be able to put the two together.
Yeah, well, that's your specialism, right? You take something that is, has not had a lot of attention or, a platform before and literally make it bigger. I'm actually going to see if there are any questions in the audience because I think everyone's so excited for you to be here. So I don't know if anyone has a question for Luke to ask anything about his life, his interest in trains, any train enthusiasts out there. Please raise your hand. Oh, there we go. Gentleman in the blue jumper.
Hi there. Have you ever driven a train?
I have.
Question.
I have. I went to a heritage railway in South Wales and I drove a Class 142 Pacer. I don't know if anyone's ever been on one, but they used to run in and out of Manchester Piccadilly and also in and around Cornwall. And they're basically old buses put on train chassis on single axle on either side and they bounce around everywhere. Yeah, that's the only train I've driven.
There you go. Any others? I can't see. Any other questions?
I think there's one of them.
Ah, there's one up there.
Hello. I'm sorry that took a while.
I was just interested to find out a bit more about your interest in fusing fashion with trains and specifically a partnership with TfL. How would that work? How do you envisage that?
Well, whenever I'm going through different stations, I see things that make these stations unique. And it might not be sort of the patterns, but just sort of the way that some of the emergency doors kind of like line up flush with the corridors, and just kind of the different materials used, and I also very evidently one of the most interesting parts of being on the train sometimes is the seat patterns and like how they feel and how they look. And I'd love to be able to do something with that, definitely.
Sold over there. Any other questions? Oh, we've got one over there. Oh, we've got two.
Hi. Of the brands you've worked with, who are they actually able to tell you about any uplift in sales or impact after you've worked with the brand? So Gucci, for example, or anybody else. So it's great. You're having a great time. Are the brands actually seeing any difference of impact of having worked with you, other than great video engagement?
So I saw there was a stat after the Gucci North Face collab that in the 2 weeks following, searches for Gucci increased by 61%. And after making videos on a rail tour with my girlfriend, where we went on a steam excursion to Lincoln, searches online increased by 115%. Those are the ones that I know.
Pretty effective. Yeah, there you go. I think there was one other question over here.
Hi. Have you ever considered doing any international train spotting? So, for example, US or Japan or something like that?
Yes. I'd love to travel the world, and particularly Japan. One of my favourite things to do to relax is watch Japan train driver point of view videos. So you can go from the city, like winding up into the mountains, and it's just the view of the tracks in front, but you're kind of winding along. And it's so pretty and so unique. And I'd love to see railways across the world, certainly.
There you go. One more? Any more for any more? Oh, we've got two more. Okay, we'll take you two. There we go.
Hiya. I just wondered how you plan your content and decide what's next.
So in terms of planning content, it's usually just, I don't really do much planning, I have to say. It's just looking at the rail sort of schedules and thinking, oh yeah, I really want to see that train, and then filming. And the only thing I do, I'm aware of is sometimes when I don't have a video to post, and I'll kind of have a look around sort of the local area to see if there's anything that would be good to go and see. But yeah, usually I go train spotting fairly often, so I've got sort of quite a substantial catalogue of videos that I can edit. But I tend to post about 2 to 3 times a week.
And the one last question over there.
Hi there. Yeah, so the question is kind of similar in the same row, same kind of question. TikTok's got quite a short format in terms of video length, and I was just wondering, what's your intention going to be with that? You intend to make longer videos, or how would you see yourself growing what you've already got, if that's on your plans?
So what I'm really interested in is transferring it to somewhere like, not totally transferring, of course, but experimenting with sort of a platform like YouTube. And I was initially sort of thinking about sort of like a daily vlog style, but I've sort of been thinking about how I can refine it. And I think I love the way that with the GoPro, it's self-shot and I don't have to worry about things. So I've been thinking about how I can sort of use different cameras, different GoPros without having to worry about them. Maybe sort of attaching to a scooter. And yeah, maybe even sort of going slightly away from from train spotting and sort of going more into life and having conversations with people and talking about sort of maybe sensitive topics, and maybe sort of creating a platform where people, it's almost like a chat show and sort of scooters.
Love this. I love it. Well, that was exactly what I was going to ask you next, which is a really nice way to start to wrap up. And I could obviously talk to you for ages, but I'm going to finish off with a couple of quick fire questions. Answer as quick as you can. European trains or British trains?
British.
Chris Tarrant's Extreme Railways or Michael Portillo's Great Railway Journeys?
Michael Portillo's.
Oh. Favourite underground line?
Bakerloo.
Third rail or overhead?
Third rail.
Oh. Deltic or HST?
HST.
And what's your train journey snack of choice?
Percy Pigs.
Oh. I think that's a perfect way to end.